Her scrawny, chocolate-brown Labrador was snuffling in the back alley at the back of the greengrocer's. There was a smell of rotten fruit in the air, but this girl, she liked to be in this place. If she'd had a choice, she would have eaten vegetables all of the time. She loved the taste, the feel of them upon her tongue, but to get any kind of food was good enough for her. Being here, in this back alley, at the back of the shops, reminded her of a time before this time, when her family were not quite so poor. This, the First World War, had taken her father away from her. She had a letter from the Ministry of Defence that told her, her mother and her two brothers that their father was dead. She didn't really read it that often. She would look at it sometimes and try not to sob. But being here, at the back of the greengrocer's, she remembered a day in 1904 when they brought the first consignment of bananas. Bananas into Ebbw Vale. They cost 1 penny and a halfpenny each. But their dad had said it was worth it. They each had a small taste of it. They couldn't believe it. It was like placing liquid sunshine upon their tongue, lips and teeth. And standing here with her bare feet on the muddy cobbles, she could remember that time and forget about where she was now. Here, on a moonlit, dark, cold winter's night, there was a dampness in the air that cut right through to her bones. She wanted to walk slowly, but it was a Labrador dog that snuffled against her, that reminded her of where she was, and even the smell of an old banana skin would bring a faint smile to her lips. She was a nervous girl. Some people didn't even know what her voice sounded like, but she had to work hard. If she'd had a choice, she would have rather have stayed at home, but that was a luxury her mother, her brothers and she did not have. They had to work to live. Sometimes, if there was a half-eaten apple or a bit of an orange, she would pull out all the mouldy bits and she would eat that. And that day, with her father, when they was rich as kings, would always come back to her. But now, she knew that she would have to brush her long curly hair away from her eyes and pull it into a net, for she would be due to go to work for the mistress. Now that's who she was. While they were so poor, those who owned the factories, those who owned the mines, they had enough money to spare to employ her as a housekeeper. Of course, she would always have to creep in through the back door so that the mistress and the master and her spoiled children would not have to see her. It wasn't as if she had a maid's uniform. She was given a long black dress. It looked a bit like an old funeral dress by her grandmother. But now, the dog was by her side, and it would wait obediently outside of the fine house where the mistress lived. She whispered to her dog, "That's right, you wait for me, I'll be along." And it was then that she noticed that the dog was snuffling at the back of the house by the bins. "Get away from there! Get away! Get away! If the mistress sees me, if the mistress sees you, she'll show me the back of her hand." She didn't wish to be beaten again by the mistress. She was treated worse than a slave. But the dog was insistent. It didn't exactly pull the bin over, but it did knock the lid. And it was then that the girl could see that there was a packet inside of the bin, and the dog was scraping and scratching at it. When it pulled it out and laid it down upon the floor, outside of the house money such as this girl had never seen in her life. There was a rolled up £5 note. There were pennies, halfpennies, there were farthings, all scattered down, and she knew that the mistress was rich, but she never thought that she would throw money away in an old packet like this. As she reached down to pick it up, it was then that she saw a pair of boots beside her. The mistress's high-laced button boots. So it was you. I might have known it would be you. I've seen things that have gone missing. But, mistress, it was the dog, Oh, yes, blame the dog. It was the dog that did it, was it? The mistress didn't listen. Didn't wait to find out that the dog had found the packet inside of the bin and that she would have returned it. But this woman, who had so much money, took the only thing that this girl did have, and that was a job. She knew she had a pride, the girl. The girl knew that she was never going to steal it. Everyone in the village knew that she would never steal, for she was kind and helpful. And the next morning, outside of their poor house, she found another packet. A packet that was not filled with £5 notes, or florins, or guineas. It was filled with pennies and halfpennies, from those people who'd heard her story, who always knew the truth of it. And she swore from that day, as she changed from a girl to a woman, that she would always give everyone the benefit of the doubt.